Hello, everybody. All right, today is Thursday the 11th. We started off in math talking about how we classify quadrilaterals. So this is in section 13.4 on page, it starts off on 467. And so, share my book here. All right, so quadrilaterals, when you see this quad means four. So these are four-sided figures. So all of these are different types of quadrilaterals. You have a trapezoid, which has a set of parallel lines. So the top line and the bottom line are parallel. Notice the outside are not, because those are not the same distance apart from each other. So this side here, see how it's turning in? If I were to extend it and then extend this one, they would meet. So those are not parallel. So it's just that one pair. A parallelogram has two. So this side and this side, because they're slanted the same way. And then this side on top and this side on the bottom, that's parallel. And then it has two pairs of sides of equal length. So the left is equal to the right, the top is equal to the bottom. Then a rhombus has a pair of parallel lines here and here, and then another set here and here. It has four sides of equal length, so all four sides are the same length. It looks like a square that's been pushed over. So because it's slanted, it's different from a square because it doesn't have those four right angles, but everything else is the same. And then, so that's what sets a square apart. And then a rectangle, same thing here. Very similar to the parallelogram, where it has two pairs of parallel sides, two pairs of sides of equal length. But the thing that makes it a rectangle is it also has those four right angles. So when we classify quadrilaterals, we talk about their attributes, those things that make them what they are. So we did a couple here where we were looking at things that had exactly one pair of parallel sides, no parallel sides, and two pairs. So here we use these little marks. So when you see these little lines here, this is showing that this side is equal to this side. These are congruent. This side is congruent with this side. And so because these are, like, the way that they're slanted and they're going the same direction, these are parallel and these are parallel. So we put that as right here, FGHE, that rhombus right there is under this category. So we were grouping things together and practicing that. And then here, you guys went and did this part. So here, you're classifying them as many ways as possible. So for example, every single one of them is a quadrilateral because they all have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So all four-sided, so all of these you can write quadrilateral. Then you need to go back and you need to say, okay, which ones are trapezoids? So go back to the first page and you're going to say, okay, a trapezoid has exactly one pair of parallel sides. So you're going to go back here and you're going to say, okay, this one here, does this one have exactly one pair of parallel sides? Okay, and then you're going to go to the next one, and then the next one, and so on. And some of these are going to have several things. They're going to be qualify under several. So you fill in as much as you can for each of those. Then on the bottom, you're just writing and explaining your answers there. And the way where we're recording this is over here in Monday through Friday. So your words that you're typing in, you're just putting them in this box here. So if number 1 is a quadrilateral, write out quadrilateral. If it's also a rectangle, put quadrilateral, comma, rectangle. Okay, so just write out what each one is. And then make sure your Monday through Thursday should all be caught up. So all of these should have answers because tomorrow's turn-in day. And then make sure you've got that ready to go. And then we did some extra practice at the end of the day with some just going over, again, what does it mean when we say parallel? What does it mean when we say perpendicular? What, different types of angles. And then in small group today, we went over, let's see, 465. All right, on page 465. Nope, not 465. Page, oh, that's right, because we missed yesterday. All right, so we went back to yesterday. Okay, here we go. Here's what we did. All right, so we were classifying triangles, and we were saying whether they were acute, right, or obtuse. And so we went over and reviewed if you are a right triangle versus an acute versus obtuse. All right, so each one of these has two acute angles. Every single one has two acute angles. If it's a right triangle, these are all triangles that we're talking about. So if it's a right triangle, it's going to have two acute plus one right. If it's an acute, it's going to have the two acute plus one additional acute, so three acute total. If it's an obtuse, it's going to have one additional obtuse angle. Okay, so obtuse matches with that third, acute matches, right matches. So when you're looking at these, you need to look closely at the type of angles they have, and you need to see, okay, here's my two acute angles. Those are small, less than 90. And then here in the corner, I see that square that tells me that that's a right angle. And so two acute and one right, I know I'm talking about a right triangle. So that was what we reviewed in small group. And then for reading today, we had our Unit 4 reading test. So if you were absent, please go into Aware and make sure that is completed. Then I need you to go to Seesaw. So I'm going to share your grade with you on Seesaw, and I'm going to, if you happen to miss any, which hopefully you don't, I'm going to share in Seesaw. So go to Reading Unit 4 test. You don't need to put any answers in here yet. Just open it up and draft it, and then I'll go and I'll leave you a comment, and then you can go back in and you can make corrections if you need, and look over if there's any that you happen to miss. Then for writing, our tests ran into writing, so we kind of got a little behind just because the test took us a while. In writing today, you're writing about someone throughout history that has made a difference in the world. So try to pick someone that you haven't already written about, and this needs to come from your brain. So we're not going in, we're not researching. This is just, you need to come up with and put on paper what you know about this person. And then tomorrow we'll write about a time we were afraid and what we did to feel better. And so by tomorrow we need to have 5 samples. All right, and that's in, I just got out of Google Classroom. That is in the Google Classroom. All right, so we did not get to subject-verb agreement, so we'll try to get to that tomorrow. And then science, we just did a little short thing on our closed reading because we had library today. All right, so we did a second reading. So if you remember when we talked about this at the first, we said every time we're doing this closed reading, every time we read it, we're digging a little bit deeper, and then we read it again and we'll dig a little bit deeper, or we'll go look for something, specific. And so today we read it again, and then today we went to page 12, and we went back and we looked for things that talked about why the moon appears to shine. So we went back to our text, we highlighted that yellow, and we talked about, how it's reflecting the sun's light. And then we talked about what waning means, went back and found that, talked about the lunar cycle. And so we kept going back. And so for the waning, right here it says this means that less and less of the moon becomes visible each night. This means that the moon is waning. Then here, all right, sorry, someone came in, or someone keeps coming in, sorry. So, okay, so that's the waning part. And then right here, the lunar cycle, how it takes 29.5 days to complete. So we say about 30. And then we just talked about that, what that means. So if you have, let's say, for example, on day 16, you have a new moon, you would add 30. So then the next new moon would be on day 46. Okay, so we talked about that. And then everybody did these last two parts and the comparison on page 13. So you're talking about what is specific to the new moon, and you put that in this section here. What's specific to full moon, you put that here. And then what's specific to both goes in the middle. So you're comparing and contrasting those. And that goes along with, I would do this part first, and then that kind of helps you write this part where you're comparing and contrasting. And then, so just talking about how are they similar, how are they different? And then this question here, which moon phase gives the most light? How do you know? All right, so draft that when you're done with that. And then for social studies, if you go into the agenda, you can click to watch this. And then Thursday's articles, I closed out of it, but you guys know where to go. Thursday's article, go over that and make sure you do. There's 2 pages for Thursday, so make sure you go over that. And you can read about our first African American in the Senate. And everybody had PE today, so make sure you get on and do your PE activity. Get that turned in. And that wrapped up our day. All right, guys. Thank you.